following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
Welcome to Main Street Preps North, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. My name is Brady McAtamney, sports editor for Main Street Clarksville. That is my co-host, Blaine Kellar, Robertson County Connection. Blaine, how you doing today?
It's a little wet and a little muggy outside, but I got to be honest, I kind of like it. You know, it's a bit better than freezing cold or blazing hot. So I'm okay with 50 and rainy right now.
I would take sunny and cold over 50 and rainy personally, but that's just me. I kind of like having that vitamin D to, cheer me up a little bit, but I'm also used to living in the cold. But let's get right into our show. We have an awesome first guest for you guys today. It is DJ Merriweather, quarterback, point guard, pitcher, first baseman at Clarksville Academy. Just yesterday, he won Mr. Football for Tennessee's Division II-A. Listen to these stats, Blaine. He threw for 2,211 yards and 30 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, ran for 1,048 yards and 14 touchdowns, had 42 tackles, 2 interceptions, and a defensive touchdown, and a 37.1 yards per punt average. So you can quite literally say that DJ did everything for the Clarksville Academy Cougars. DJ, congratulations, and how you doing today, man?
Thank you, and I'm doing well.
Good to hear. Tell us a little bit about that Mr. Football Award, man. Just like kind of what that honor means to you.
It means a lot. I'm just really thankful for it, and I just want to thank Coach Murray and my teammates for pushing me towards that goal and helping that dream come true.
To go up against a couple of really solid finalists in that class, Kevin Finch of University School of Jackson and Jared Curtis of Nashville Christian School, somebody that you guys were familiar with throughout the season. That's somebody you faced in the regular season. I wanted to ask you a little bit about the reaction. I was at Nissan Stadium during the awards ceremony, and I guess it was one of your family members let out this huge shriek whenever your name was announced as the award winner. Just talk about who that was and what it meant to kind of have your family, coaches, and friends there yesterday.
Yeah, so my sisters and my family, they supported me so much. And she told me that if I won, she was gonna try not to make a scene, but she couldn't hold it in. She just had to let it go. It just means so much to me because they're not afraid to step out of the norm and support me in anything I do.
Yeah, what was the reaction from your teammates? I know a lot of your teammates are some of your best friends, guys like Jock Cooper and some of the others that you play multiple other sports with. What did you hear from them once
they were at school? They were at school and they were watching it live, and they said the school just erupted. Everybody was cheering. Everybody was texting me, just congratulating me. The school just went crazy.
Man, that's pretty awesome. What does that say about the community that you guys have there at CA?
I love it. It's very family oriented. So everybody knows everybody. Walk around, you get to talk to everybody, K through 12. I just love it. It's just, if you haven't had a chance to be here, I feel like you should be here.
Absolutely. One of our coworkers, Tyler Pullman's here. He wrote a great story about you, and he also had a tweet last night or during the awards ceremony saying that some of these guys have great hair that's been underneath these helmets all season. And I got to imagine part of that was after seeing you.
Absolutely. Has to be, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten to see during baseball and basketball, but what do you think? Maybe does that helmet keep your hair a little too covered?
Yeah, a little bit too much. And then I wear it out sometimes. I didn't want to wear it out during football because they'll try to pull my hair while they're trying to tackle me, and I don't want that to happen. So for basketball, you can't really do that. So I'm wearing it out for basketball.
Does a lot go into it? I'm sure that's a question you maybe get a little bit. People see the huge mane that you kind of sported yesterday, and you know that you've grown out. What's the routine? What's the care that goes into that?
So I wash it like every 3 days. You're not supposed to wash your hair every day. So I wash it like every 3 days. And then my mom, she does a lot to it. Like she's the one that takes care of it a lot. She makes it look nice every day.
Hey, that's a head of hair to be proud of, man. I got to be honest. I'm glad she understands that too. Like you said, you get to wear it out a little more during basketball, and I want to talk about basketball season a little bit because you're also a starter for the basketball team. You guys came very close to winning it all last year, finished in the Final Four, losing to the eventual champions, FACS. Do you guys think that maybe this year you guys have a chance to get further than you did last year?
Absolutely. We got a new head coach, and he's really pushing us in and directing us in the right way. So I feel like we have a really good chance, maybe better than last year, to go and win that gold ball.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Seeing you guys play, I've seen you've been hitting some 3-pointers, playing some defense. It's definitely cool to see. But you're also a baseball player, and you were a Mr. Baseball finalist this past baseball season. I don't have your stats up on me here, but under a 2 ERA, several home runs, hitting over 500. Pretty incredible stuff. What do you think? Do you think you have it in you to get that Mr. Baseball win to go with Mr. Football?
I certainly hope so, but baseball is such a tough game. You never know what you're going to get into day in, day out. So we just keep on working towards it. My teammates can push me and help me get to that goal.
I'd be interested to know the last time someone in the state of Tennessee won Mr. Football and Mr. Baseball, let alone in the same season, but during the course of their career. DJ, which of these sports comes the most natural to you? Being a 3-sport athlete and having success in all of them, how does it, I mean, it's kind of a silly question, but how does it come so easy to you? And which one do you think you're just the most naturally gifted at?
I think I was the most naturally gifted in football because I played it whenever I was growing up, but then I took like 4 or 5 years off and came back last year to play football. And in 2 years, I won Mr. Football. So I think most definitely football because I took a time off and came back just to win this award.
I know you and your buddy Cooper Wallace, teammate with you, have been taking some college visits for football. Do you see yourself playing football and maybe baseball in college?
He said, hopefully both. But if it comes down to it, I don't know which one I'll pick. But hopefully we can get both.
Yeah, luckily you don't have to make that decision right now, so that is good. But DJ, thank you so much for joining us today, man, and congratulations again on winning Mr. Football. Obviously, a huge honor, and good luck with the rest of the basketball season.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, DJ.
That was DJ Merriweather, Clarksville Academy quarterback, guard, first baseman, pitcher, linebacker, and punter. He's got a lot of different hats that he wears and some great hair underneath those hats, I would say. We're going to take a quick break here on MSP North. When we come back, we're going to be getting with a basketball coach from Robertson County. There's your teaser, so stick around.
It was just a few drinks. I'm good. I thought it was good.
After every game, we always have a few. It's no big deal. It was no big deal.
Hey, I can hold my liquor. I thought I could hold my liquor.
And we're back on Main Street Preps North, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, where fans don't let fans drive drunk. I'm Blaine Kellar Brady McAtamney to my right. I guess maybe your left if you're, depending on how you're viewing it. I'm not good with this, but we just finished talking with Division 2A Mr. Football winner from Clarksville Academy, DJ Merriweather. We're taking it to the basketball court now, bringing on Joe Burns girls basketball coach in his first year, Jared Hawkins. Coach Hawkins, you got us? 1 second. We're getting in just a moment. Time to give you a preview here on how the Lady Devils have done in their first season. Under Hawkins, they won 21 games last year and had a solid core of Brooke Dallin, Reese Payne, Grayson Bryant. They won 21 games as seniors, that trio did, and they didn't play very deep. Their previous coach, Jessica Holt, only ran about 6 players through their rotation just because those players were so good. And you kind of look at the success that they've had over the past 4 years. There was a point in time eventually coming where Joe Burns was going to need to build things back up. And they're doing that now under Hawkins. They picked up their first win Tuesday at STEM Prep. Started out the year 0-3 with losses to McEwen, Houston County, and Cheatham County. Brady, I know you have a lot of experience dealing with girls basketball teams that are in states of rebuilds. What do you think the biggest key is kind of for Robertson County teams and Montgomery County teams to rebuild?
I think it's really just a matter of building that talent level up. Sometimes you have girls who play basketball, and you have basketball players. And I know it sounds kind of silly, but there's a big difference between the two. And you want to be able to turn those girls into basketball players, get that basketball IQ up. And even if they're not the most athletically gifted, you can still raise that talent level, because basketball is not all about athleticism. And I think Luka Doncic has proven that. But I think it's really just a matter of getting that basketball IQ up, getting them to kind of play as a team and understand what they're doing. And if you can do that, then you can really accelerate.
Shout out to my Dallas Mavericks there. We've got Coach Hawkins on now. Coach, I'm not sure if you heard too much of that assessment, but in your first year with this 1-3 start, how much developing have you guys had to do offensively and defensively so far? We may have lost Coach Hawkins. May have to bring him back here in a second, but we'll look at the schedule ahead for Joe Burns here. Continue to work on getting Coach Hawkins in here today on Main Street Preps North. Interesting game for the Lady Devils on Friday. They are hosting Trousdale County. That one's really important. That's a team that Hawkins coached at before being at Joe Burns. And, that's another district game for them. And when you look at the scale of the schedule as a whole, it doesn't matter that they started the year 0-3. It matters that they're 1-0 in the district, right? Yeah,
absolutely. It's tough to be able to play these district games right off the bat. I know a lot of teams in Montgomery County have been telling me, you know what, we're struggling right now, but we're not playing district yet. That comes in January, and that's kind of something they've been able to take solace in. So for a team like Joe Burns to be playing district right away, that means they've had to grow up quick.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think depending on the state of your team and where you are as a program, some teams may like playing district games right off the bat because they've got a solid roster, or they've got something that they can really build off of, that they can use as an advantage to start the year. And maybe some others, like you said, don't like playing that right away because they need some developing to do. Let's look at our counties as a whole. Brady, do you feel like there are any teams in Montgomery County that really benefit from playing an early district schedule?
Yeah, I think there are several teams, especially on the boys' side right now. Looking at Kenwood, Northwest, Northeast, and West Creek especially, because those are all teams that have talent on the team, kind of younger teams. Maybe some players playing who aren't the most experienced, athletic, but need time to, kind of really gel. And Kenwood is especially one of those teams. They lost their top 3 players from last season. One to graduation, one's not playing basketball anymore, and one had a season-ending injury. So they're really playing a lot of guys who don't have much varsity experience. And head coach Chase Cronin, he and I have talked quite a lot about, them really figuring things out. And he still thinks that they can definitely be a team competing for the district once district time comes around.
Well, the good thing about, at least in Kenwood's situation, and I think some other districts in Robertson County feel the same way, because you are playing in such small districts now. I believe Kenwood's got 4 teams. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, they've got 4 teams. I know there are a couple of squads in Robertson County that play no fewer than 5. So you've got some smaller regions, smaller districts, and that definitely helps you in the long run too. Getting familiar with that opponent and also knowing that there's not too much you have to do to get into the postseason and get past the first round of the district.
Yep. I mean, it really just depends on when you get hot. And that district is Kenwood, Northwest, Dixon, and Henry County. So I think that district is probably, they'd consider it down right now because Kenwood, usually a good basketball program, not having a great year. Northwest has kind of been rebuilding since losing Amitri Moss. Dixon, while they're always there, they're not necessarily a basketball school. And Henry County, I think, is kind of on a down year as well, as we saw Northeast beat them earlier in the season. And like I said, Northeast is kind of one of those teams that's kind of building themselves up right now. So that district feels wide open.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Henry County lost their coach from last year. I know their coach had been around for quite a while. I think he moved farther west. But, kind of touching on Joe Burns a little bit, I don't think we're going to get, unfortunately, not going to get in Jared Hawkins today, Joe Burns girls basketball coach. But let's give some love to the boys' side, their basketball team as well. They're 4-1 to start the year, and 324 student Joe Burns somehow got 2 transfers to come in, and one of them starting in the post. He's 6'5", 6'6", Keelan Clardy. One of them 6'2", 6'3" in Glencliffe's Arnett Cotton. Those two guys have really brought a lot to that team, really have made them athletic, not only 1 through 5 in their starting lineup, but even down their bench. I saw them play Tuesday at STEM Prep to open district play, and it felt like every single possession they were getting the ball right at the rim. And maybe part of that's the opposition that they're playing, part of that's the competition. But Brady, better than most people that when you add in transfers, you add in new guys, that just adds a whole nother level to your team.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, it takes a little time to integrate those guys. Looking at a team like Rossview this year, they added transfers Quaymon Lindsley from Northwest and Chance Martin from Dixon County. Those two guys have contributed heavily. They've helped a lot. They're still integrating those guys, like I mentioned. But you also look at teams like Clarksville High. When they went to in the state tournament run, they added Javon Martin, Charles Freeman for their first state run, and those guys hadn't been on the team before. It took them a little while to really get fully into the team. But once they were fully integrated, once those guys kind of got comfortable with their teammates, that team looked unstoppable.
Yeah, and just for reference, when you think about the enrollment of Clarksville and Rossview both getting 2, transfers coming into their program, Clarksville has an enrollment of 1,372. Rossview's is 1,781 according to TSSAA.com. So when you look at that, I mean, that's almost 4, maybe 5 times the size of Joe Burns as is. So really just a big impact, a big influx of transfers can really just change the dynamic, especially of a 1A team. But they're going to have a tall road ahead of them. They'll be facing off against East Robertson in their district. Of course, that's not only their rival, but the reigning Class 1A state champions. And they'll face Clay County in their region as well. So there's a lot of talent ahead of them, and they're going to really need to gel if they want to hit those same strides that we talk about with Rossview and Clarksville.
Yeah, and you mentioned East Robertson there. I think that's a pretty good lead into our One Thing segment for today, as you've got a little East Robertson news for us.
Yeah, we talked with DJ Merriweather, who won the Mr. Football Award for Division 2A yesterday, and East Robertson had a Mr. Football finalist of its own on the podium in Nissan Stadium. Zach Prince finished as one of 3 finalists. Unfortunately, he did not win the award. That went to Tyner Academy's Josh Jackson. Tyner Academy beat East Robertson 35-7 in the Class 2A quarterfinals last year. And Prince finishes still with a really good season. I think, even though he didn't come away with the Mr. Football Award, you've got a lot to be proud of there. 1,818 yards, 10th most in the state, I might add, and 31 total touchdowns. So a lot to hang your hat on, even though you didn't come away with the nice big trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing to be ashamed of there at all. Very, very good season for Zach Prince, and he's playing basketball now, so another chance to go out there and have another great season. I want to start my one thing off by talking about the West Creek girls basketball program. This is a team that has, ever since I've been here, just been not great, to put it lightly. But this season, they started out the year by beating Republic by 38 points. The other day, beat Kenwood by 28 points. So those are 2 blowout wins over lesser opponents. But as I said in my story, that's kind of just the thing, is that there are teams now that are lesser than West Creek. Excuse me. they've always kind of been that doormat for teams where, you say, okay, well, we got West Creek, we can maybe take it easier this this game or something like that. But now they've got some talent level that they've finally acquired. They've got some girls who really know what to do in those games. They can shoot it a little bit. They can get to the rim, draw fouls. Still a long way to go for them, but having them win 2 games by that amount, it kind of shows that they've maybe turned a little bit of a corner.
Yeah, if you were to look at West Creek a couple of years ago, teams would be feeding off of them. They're at the bottom of the barrel. Mm-hmm. Now West Creek can feed off of other teams. So even though you can say that it's not that great of competition, like you said, it's still competition that they can beat. So a lot to look forward to there. Little more football news for you out of Robertson County. Friday in Clarksville at Austin P is the East-West All-Star Classic. I believe it's the 14th or 15th year of this event. Top seniors in the state battling it out. They spend all week practicing. It's a fun event. You've got 5 players that were on the roster. As of today, that's dwindled down to 4. Springfield's got Devin Crenshaw and Logan Leftrick on the roster. East Robertson's got Sean Groves and Zach Prince. Nathan Robinson, who was supposed to be on the roster for Greenbrier, will not attend. I was told that this morning. Most interesting thing about this list, though, Devin Crenshaw listed as an athlete and a long snapper, not a quarterback. I believe Ryan Dameron and Nolensville's quarterback, Kobe Walden, are the 2 quarterbacks there. I really want to see what position they're going to plug Devin at.
Yeah, seeing a guy go from quarterback to long snapper seemingly overnight, guess you don't really see that, but Devin is a big kid, man. Pretty good athlete for his size, so we'll see. Maybe he gets looks at something like tight end or something like that. Maybe at guard. We'll see, because he's definitely got that kind of size.
Yeah, it would be funny I think the most interesting position would see him at offensive line. Let's plug the 6'2", 260 kid at offensive line. But he does play a lot of middle linebacker, plays a little bit of defensive line. He did that before he was a quarterback at Springfield. So that might be where they plug him in on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of football, but maybe not the conventional sense of it. Yesterday I was at Montgomery Central, where Sarah Rankhorn, a basketball, volleyball, and softball player for the Lady Indians, signed to play flag football at Milligan. She is the first ever flag football signee out of Montgomery County. She said that she had never played football until her freshman year of high school, when she played that in their Powder Puff game. And she said, not to brag, that's her quote, but she kind of just ran circles around everybody when she got the ball. So she did that again as a sophomore, as a junior, as a senior. They went undefeated in her 4 years playing Powder Puff football. She's like, you know what, this is pretty fun. I kind of want to do this in college too. So that's what she did. She went to combines, reached out to coaches, and what do you know? She signed on to play college flag football.
It's a busy day in Clarksville yesterday. DJ Merriweather with the Mr. Football Award. Eddie Ricks signed with Morehead State. Do I have that right?
That's right.
And Sarah Rankhorn signed. A very busy day for you, Brady, huh?
Mm-hmm.
We'll give you a quick score roundup of basketball from Tuesday in Robertson County. 3 of the 4 games that were played were sweeps. Joe Burns girls basketball and boys basketball really rolled over STEM Prep to open district play. The girls won 61-12. The boys won 79-45. Greenbrier swept White House Heritage. The girls improved to 5-2 with a 50-35 win. The boys won 52-42 over Heritage. Portland and Springfield put together a couple of solid games to watch. Portland girls came away with an overtime win over Springfield 36-33. And Portland boys extended Springfield's losing streak with a 60-52 win. White House and Hunters Lane were the only 2 teams to split on Tuesday. White House girls beating Hunters Lane 56-31, and Hunters Lane boys beating White House 56-54. Rough start for the Blue Devils.
Rough start for the Blue Devils indeed, but we'll see if they're able to pick it up. White House is a school that usually has pretty decent athletics, so we'll see what happens there. Speaking of a rough start, I mentioned Kenwood earlier. They took tough losses against city foes Northeast and West Creek. I was at both of those games, dropping them to 0-6, but Northeast got a gutty win carried by Nazir Leonard and Tatum Carney, whereas West Creek had 10 different players score in their win against Kenwood. So very interesting to see how some of these teams operate differently, and really looking forward to seeing the growth out of all 3 of those teams, because they're 3 kind of built similarly, but as you can see, some are a little further ahead now than others.
And that's our One Thing segment here on Main Street Preps North, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Brady, I think that warrants one more break for us. When we come back, let's talk our game of the week and player of the week in Montgomery and Robertson County. Stay tuned.
It's just a few cocktails at happy hour. It's just a few cocktails at happy hour.
It was just a few cocktails at happy hour.
You really good try.
There aren't any cops around.
I didn't think there were any cops around.
I drink and drive all the time.
Sir, you've been in a serious crash. I need you to hang on, okay? Cover your name, sir. Where you are right now?
And we are back. We got a couple minutes left here as we talk about our games of the week and our players of the week. Blaine, why don't you start us off by talking about a little bit of a rivalry game coming up?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of a rivalry. It feels like every time any county team plays in Robertson County, I'm not sure if Montgomery County is the same way. It's always some sort of rivalry. But tonight's games between East Robertson and White House should be a pretty fun one, just based on how these two teams have kind of struggled to start the year, both on the girls' side and the boys' side. East Robertson girls I believe they picked up their first win Tuesday, and then White House boys have really struggled as well. They're 1-4, and then East Robertson picked up its second win. I believe they're 2-3. So you've got four teams that all have losing records, but this could really be a get-right game for them. You know, East Robertson is going to figure things out, being the state champions and having their football players kind of get into basketball mode. White House has had its players for a while, so you really would expect them to kind of get things into gear now or never before the new year starts. So really look at these games as maybe a springboard for either of these teams to try to figure things out moving forward.
Indeed. I'm looking at the Rossview versus Northwest girls game tomorrow on Friday. Excuse me, a little bit of a cough here today. These are two teams that are still both pretty good. Both have Division I players in Northwest Amaya Cobb, committed to SIUE, and Tori James, a junior, still uncommitted, but with multiple D1 offers. But they also both lost D1 players from last year. Of course, Northwest losing Tamia Scott, a Miss Basketball finalist, and Rossview, she's now at MTSU. Rossview lost Sydney James Roche, who is now at Eastern Illinois. So, of course, Rossview coached by former White House Heritage head coach Clay Head. Northwest has had Ben Wallace around for a while, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how those two teams match up.
Yeah, let's move on to our Player of the Week segment. I've given Joe Burns a lot of love here, but it feels like I don't talk about them enough in the scale of fall sports, winter sports, spring sports. Give me Jacob Miller, somebody I didn't mention in our last segment. 20 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists in 16 minutes. Shout out to Digital Scout for giving me all those stats. It's a post-heavy team that's won 4 of its first 5 games, and Jacob Miller is the leader of that team so far down low. He was really efficient, even though he picked up 2 early fouls.
Yep, and I already talked about one, Rankhorn. I'm going to talk about the other. Josiah Rankhorn from Montgomery Central scored 24 points against Houston County, hit the game winner in that game, so very cool. Great couple of days for that family as Sarah signs. Josiah has a big game for Houston against Houston County for Montgomery Central. And he hit a buzzer beater. That was my buzzer beater for the show. Exactly, just like that. So thank you guys, everybody, for tuning in to Main Street Preps North, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk, and we will talk to you next week.